have one Premier League hater here who is going to be going up against 20 Premier League fans.
My name's Luca, JFTV Luca, Juventus fan, and I got another hot take. Conte's resume in the Serie A is more impressive than Pep Guardiola's resume in the Premier League.
3, 2, 1, go.
I've been waiting for you, my friend.
James, welcome to the table. Go ahead.
Firstly, why?
Well, Conte's won 6 league titles he's won 5 league titles in 6 seasons, full seasons, and this is his 7th. He's won it with 3 different clubs, Juventus, Inter, and Napoli. And I'm putting context. Context is really important in this. He came into a Juventus side that had just been promoted after being relegated to Serie B. They finished back-to-back 7th place. AC Milan, Inter, they were the better teams in that period. Conte comes in his first season, the 11-12 season, wins the league, but he doesn't just win the league. He wins the league going invincible without losing a single game in that season. He then goes back-to-back, which hadn't been done since Mourinho's Inter, and in his 3rd season, he wins the league again. First manager in quite a long time in Italy to win the league 3 years in a row. And in his 3rd season, he doesn't just win the league, he gets 102 points, the most points ever in the top 5 leagues. More than you, more than any other team. And I'm not comparing the City Centurion team and the Juventus team in 13-14. I'm not comparing the 2 leagues. I'm just saying that's very impressive, right? He then leaves Juventus, but he builds the foundations for Allegri's Juventus to then continue to grow, continue to improve, continues to compete at the top level of European football, which we saw. He built the foundations for a 9-year dominance, the most dominant dynasty in Italian football history that will never get replicated. One of the most dominant dynasties in football history, full stop. 9 league titles in a row. Then, he comes back to the league after not being in it for 5 years. He joins Inter Milan in the 1920 season, right? I'm not talking about his time at Chelsea in the Premier League. What does he do in his first season? He doesn't win the league. He loses it by 1 point. He loses the Europa League final, yes. But what he builds an Inter team that's competing with the team that he created originally, the Juventus team. And in the 2020-21 season, he wins the league with Inter, destroying the 9-year dynasty that he originally created, building the foundations for Inzaghi's Inter, which then went on to win another league title in 2024. Should have won even more. Inzaghi's Inter bottled a few against Napoli, against AC Milan, for example. And then what does he do? He goes to Napoli, where he wins the league in his first season. Right now, they're currently joint first, favourites again to win the league. He might go back-to-back. What isn't more impressive than that Pep Guardiola's done?
I think it's just the amount that Pep Guardiola's done in terms of breaking records within the league itself. He hasn't had the longevity that Conte has, as you've just said.
Pep actually spent longer in the Premier League than Conte in the Serie A as a coach.
Fair enough. But it's consistent records. It's one after another, and we have had, 140 years of English football. He's breaking records that long ago. Conte has done an incredible job. There's no doubt about that. His record in Serie A, incredible, done some amazing things. But the fact that Pep Guardiola has come in relative terms, quite a short amount of time, and broken record after record after record after record, put himself in the conversation for best manager of all time against Sir Alex Ferguson, who longevity, he has that argument, record, he has that argument, treble, he has that argument. Pep Guardiola's changed football in England as well. It's not just about... Yes and no. I would say entertainment-wise, he has probably dampened it in some manners. I will say that. Like, when you watch Man City week in, week out, it has been sometimes, difficult in terms of the style of play. But the way everyone has adjusted from the old style of Premier League football, where it was just kick, punt, hope for the best, lots of physicality, to this new kind of pressing style. We've seen...
But it doesn't work for everyone. The fact of the matter, it works for Pep City because he's got the best players in the world.
No, I would say it has worked for a lot of other Premier League clubs as well. They've come in, they've adapted.
Why didn't it work last season then?
Well, you can have a down period.
But
I don't think you can't. I'm talking about other Premier League.
Can you agree that he's modified his game again this season?
Yes, he's adapting.
He's adapting, which is incredible. But what I'm saying is that can't be implemented in every other team that's trying to play like Pep.
No, but what's happened is other teams have had to adjust to him. And the styles of play that have been brought into other Premier League clubs have boosted the whole league to make sure that Pep Guardiola, who has been studied, 10, 15 years, his exact style of play, he has to adapt at some point. You can't come up with new tricks all the time, so you have to adapt.
He also started this at Barcelona, though.
He did start this at Barcelona.
And he carried it on to Bayern Munich, then carried it on to City.
Yes, where he's been successful everywhere.
With a big financial backing.
Yes, of course. It's
spending over $1 billion. Yes. Conte has never had the luxury to spend that much money. If you put Pep Guardiola in that Juventus team in 2011, right, let's just put... Pep Guardiola, at the peak of his career, when he was the most successful period in his career, arguably at Barcelona, into that 11-12 Juventus team, or the Inter team in 2020, or the current Napoli team, is he winning the league for any of those teams?
Nobody knows. It's an absolute nonsense question because you don't know.
You don't know, but also you do know that he wouldn't have had the financial backing. He wouldn't have had the players that suit his style of play.
But the best manager is always going to have the financial backing. He's always going to go to the richest club because they.
Why hasn't Conte then had the?
That's an unfortunate case. He went to Chelsea. He won a league. He did extremely well there. He has gone to rich clubs,
but he hasn't spent as much.
Yeah, I feel that was a board. Yeah,
yeah, that's one negative.
It's not a case of like Conte is not a good manager or Conte has not been an incredible manager or should be talked about in the top 5-10 managers in the world. But I think it's the fact that Pep Guardiola has come in. He changed football from his first season to now. This is what 15 years, 16 years of him being at the top of football.
But I'm only saying I think Pep Guardiola is a better manager than Antonio Conte all time, 100%. But I'm saying that Conte's accolades and his resume in Italy is more impressive than Pep's resume in England. That was my statement. Not that Conte's a better manager.
Okay, but
you see what I mean?
Do the records that have been broken by
what
Pep
is it?
Guardiola?
4 league titles in a row.
Yes, which has never been done before in football. 100 points never been done in football in Premier League in English football. Yes, obviously, when you're taking Antonio Conte's Italian time, we've got to take Pep Guardiola's English time.
But Conte got 100 points. He got 102 to be precise. He went invincible winning the league. He created the most dominant dynasty in Italian football history. He built the foundations for that club. Juventus went from Pepe as their number 7 to Cristiano Ronaldo because of Antonio Conte being arguably the most important factor of that, alongside Agnelli, Nedved, everyone else that was part of the board. But this is what I'm saying. Then he built the foundations for Inter's Inzaghi, which should have won more, and now he's building up Napoli again. Napoli finished 10th in the 23-24 season. They were a mid-table team. They were 41 points off Inter. The season after, because of Conte, they won the league by 1 point.
Do you not think the dominance of Juventus, and no disrespect to the league, comes from the lack of competition, rather than you've got Pep Guardiola who is breaking these records with Liverpool, chasing his neck down, where if John Stones didn't make a goal line clearance, they would have had an invincible 100-point season.
I agree. Liverpool and City, that was a great rivalry. But every single time that City won the Premier League, there was always one direct rival to win the league. Or was there more? Tell me a season where there was more than one where it was like it went down to the wire.
No, I agree, but I do think the level of that competition, though, was extreme compared to what Conte
you can only play against what you're up against. I'm not saying that Juventus 13-14 is better than City Centurions, for example, or the Liverpool teams that you were going up against were better than the Inter teams or the Roma or the Napoli teams we were going up against. You can only play against what's ahead of you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, but in that time, the achievements of English teams throughout, European leagues and stuff was better than what the Italians.
You're saying the Champions League wins?
Champions League. Well, yeah, there's Champions League, there's Europa League wins, and Conference League. So you can still argue, but the depth of competition, as we've discussed today, has been there for the Premier League, and Pep Guardiola has been the most dominant manager of all of English football in this time, where it's extremely, extremely successful for all Premier League clubs.
Same as Conte.
So you think that
in 6 seasons he's won 5 league titles? Name me another Serie A coach that's done that.
Yes, in Italy, but
in Italy, yeah.
Yes, but what I'm saying is the competition, the depth in competition in Italy is not the same.
I've just put perspective on it. He came into a Juventus team that was back-to-back 7th place finishes. He came into an Inter team that was like fighting for top 4 against the dynasty he created. He came into a Napoli team that finished 10th. He raised the level of every single team to the best on paper in the country. Pep Guardiola did not come into a washed-up City team.
No.
Do you see what I mean?
Well, you can say the last bits of Pellegrini's football was a bit.
He won the league in 13-14 with Pellegrini. Do you see what I mean? So I think context is so important. And I'm not saying Pep. I said earlier, would Pep be able to do it for those 3 teams? I personally don't think he would. But obviously, you said if buts and maybes, he might.
Yes.
But I just think his resume, Conte's resume in the Serie A, is more impressive than Pep's. And not to mention that when Conte was in the league, he beat Pep to a Premier League title anyway.
True. Yeah, that was his first season, and
he won.
Yeah, he did win. He did win. But I will say, I think if your argument was Conte's time has been completely underappreciated in terms of what he did in Serie A, I would completely agree, because I don't really think about that. I don't really, when I think of Conte, I just think, he was at Chelsea, he was good, he had that dynasty at Juventus, and you don't really put perspective on that whole thing. He's done well with Italy as well. It's just the fact that English football in this period has been its most dominant ever, and he has been the most dominant within it. I think when you're saying context and everything about that, Conte's time wasn't in a dominant period for Italian football. So he was the most impressive in a non-dominant period, if that makes sense.
He made it dominant for Juventus.
Within the league itself, though, if that makes sense.
But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think Pep Guardiola, like you said, he raised the level of the Premier League. I think it was less dominant the day that Pep Guardiola came. I'm sure when the day he leaves, it will be more dominant than when it was when he joined, right? Conte joined at, it wasn't a pinnacle of Italian football in the summer of 2011. AC Milan had just won the league. Inter had won the treble a year before, to be fair, but it was struggling. It was still recovering from Calciopoli. And in the 9-year dominance, for Juventus personally, there was always one other team that would rival us. It wasn't elite. But now the Serie A is the most competitive league in the world in terms of how close it is from first to like fourth.
For title,
you
100%.
can't really tell me who the favourite is.
Yeah.
And Conte's still a part of that.
Oh, yeah.
And he won the league last season, again, in a very competitive Serie A season. Obviously, it's not the same level as the Premier League in terms of quality.
Boys,
But, yeah.
great debate. Have to say, fellas, well done. Absolutely smashed it. Oh, so much hatred. So much hatred in that episode. God, him and James could have been a fight. Honestly. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. If you want to check out everybody's channels, they are going to be linked down below. All the Premier League haters who don't really actually hate the Premier League that badly, they just prefer their own teams, or the Premier League fans are all going to be down there. So make sure you go over there, subscribe to them, give them a shout. If you've liked the video, leave a comment, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye.